Today we're going to be continuing our discussion on how to create meaningful character development by exploring the element of effort, what it is, why it's so important, and how you can write it into your book. Defining effort is the simplest of all of the elements of character development. Simply, it is the amount of time and struggle a character puts into achieving their goal, overcoming their challenges, and changing as a person for the better. That doesn't mean it's any less important, so let's explore why it's so important and how we can incorporate that into our story to make perfect character development. There's an old rule in storytelling, which is that protagonists are never lucky. And this is because giving our characters luck and helping them get through the story is often seen as very contrived and the writer taking a shortcut because they don't know how to develop the character further. Just think about it for a moment. In real life, if you were to see someone just be lucky all the time, never have to put in any effort to overcome their challenges or get their achievements, how would you feel about that person? Probably not very positively for most of us. So we need to remember that protagonists can't be lucky in a story, because it doesn't really reflect real life. After all, the existence of luck is a big debate in of itself. So when we're writing, we need to make sure we're avoiding that. As with all parts of character development, seeing a character undertake genuine and believable effort in order to achieve their goal is something that deeply relates them to the reader. We all understand that nothing in life comes for free, that everything that we've achieved and succeeded in usually required an amount of effort. Maybe that's a little, or maybe it's a lot, but it all required effort. So it's exactly the same when we're seeing our fictional or non-fictional characters represented in books or films. We want to see them trying. We want to see them putting in the work to get their successes, to make sure that they've earned them. Because not only does that inspire us to try harder in our own lives in order to achieve what we want, and gives us a positive role model that we can follow, but also it reflects the real world. We don't want to follow a character who's perfect, as we've discussed multiple times throughout this series. So effort is a really crucial part of that in preventing a character from being perfect. Most effort is going to take the form of learning or improving a skill. How this is done is up to you in the context of your book, and it can be anything from physical training to book studying. But whatever it's doing, it needs to be focused on making the character stronger. There needs to be a direct connection between what the character is doing and the challenge that they're trying to overcome. Which is why so often when we see a character putting in effort, it's usually with that end goal in mind. Think Rocky, Amelie, The Shawshank Redemption. All of these are focused on determination and resilience in order to achieve a goal, because that's a really inspiring story for us as people. Ultimately, effort is really important because it makes a character likable, relatable, and believable. It also makes their conclusion and their eventual success satisfying and rewarding for the reader because we can see how much effort we've put into it. Just like we're proud of our friends and family when they study super hard and pass the test. It's the exact same feeling that we need to replicate in storytelling. So let's look at a few different elements that you need to include to make sure that effort is portrayed correctly in your story. The first most important part of correctly writing effort is that it needs to take time within the story in order for the progress and improvement to be believable. The effort can be the focus of the entire story, or it can be condensed as part of a challenge with an emphasis on how much time has passed. In a film, this might take the form of a montage, but in writing, it's better to explain the activity being undertaken and then have it take place for the appropriate amount of time. You can show this with seasonal changes, purchases, or simply telling your audience if you don't want to spend too much time with it. Research is important here. You need to understand how long something takes to achieve. Your character won't learn a language or be proficient in martial arts overnight. You need to make sure that the time taken is proportional to the effect you need it to have. In most circumstances, this will be a long time, unless the rules of your world behave differently, like in The Matrix. An example of showing the effort's duration is Harry Potter's ability in magic. It is poor in the first book, but it is repeatedly told to us and shown through classroom scenes that he is training and practicing. The entire 5th book revolves around the students training and preparing for a final confrontation, and even though they still lose when faced with experienced duelists, but we can believe their skills would have improved because lots of time was invested into improving it, and that was shown to us in the story. Just like in real life, your character's effort should never be easy. If you want to make your character a better sword fighter, that will always be a difficult process, with bruises, cuts and scrapes and punishments. Again, we understand that working out, learning a language, or becoming proficient with magical powers will be a struggle from the start. It might get easier with practice, but that goes back to our first point that it needs time. Rocky's training never seemed easy. It got progressively less difficult as he became stronger, but we were never under the impression that it was easy. That's because he wasn't a perfect character, and the effort to overcome the challenge was part of the challenge. That's something you can really incorporate into your challenges that adds to the motivation, makes them a more well-rounded character, and shows them to be a relatable person that readers can really get behind. A critical part of the difficulty is having moments of failure or doubt during the effort. This shows character development as they push themselves beyond these initial setbacks, and is a key demonstrator of the effort involved as well as their positive development as a character. It also gives us a measuring stick so we can see how far they've come by that time. A third super important part is having a mentor. We cannot learn anything without the help of others, whether that's a teacher or a textbook. Somebody with more experience and knowledge than us was behind that. By giving your character a mentor, not only does it allow them to develop and grow naturally, but it adds a humility to them that shows they're not perfect. Mentors are such important characters within a story and should be treated with respect and veneration, not dismissed and ignored by your protagonists. If your protagonist is arrogant or strong-willed, it can even be part of the effort to have them find humility in accepting the limitations of their power and the need for help. Some of the most beloved characters in history are mentors of our protagonist, who helps them become stronger, gives them direction and motivation, and allows our main character to show their vulnerability but ultimately overcome it and succeed. Think of Obi-Wan, Gandalf, Dumbledore, M, Sir Barristan Selmy, Mary Poppins, or Cersei Lannister. These are all mentors who've taught our characters important lessons and made them stronger because of it. At the end of the day, the way that you show effort is extremely variable, and there are lots of different ways you can do it. But in the end, you need to show your character going through genuine and honest struggles and effort in order to overcome their challenges. It makes them believable. It shows how dedicated they are to their motivations. It shows that they're not perfect, and it gives you a reason to have challenges in the way that they can then overcome and create satisfying stories for your readers. So, just remember to include lots of effort from your protagonist to overcome those challenges, and you'll be able to create a really great, well-rounded character. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the video with your friends, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you very much.